Alright, we're gonna get some stuff going here. How's everyone doing? So, I don't know if we're going to melt all the copper down tonight, but I got a lot to get melted. I don't even know how heavy this is, but I know it's got a lot of weight to it. So we have a lot of copper to melt tonight. Like I said, I don't know if we'll get it all melted tonight, but I need to get some bars made because my copper shell needs some pretty badly. So let's get this crucible filled up with a bunch of copper. Now this stuff is going to be pretty dirty when it melts down, because it still has a little bit of the wire coating in here. Alright, we got a piece of cardboard down in there already. Now we just need to light it off as soon as I realize what I did with my lighter, because that makes it easier to do that with. Apparently I can't keep track of my lighter anywhere. Even though I just saw it a few minutes ago. I had it in my pocket. I thought, maybe I didn't. Aha! It was in my jacket pocket. First the lines out a little bit. And I always light a piece of paper and lay in there. Voila. Slide it off to the side. Need a custom Zippo. I don't think I quite need that. Definitely hot. It's more difficult to lose. Well, my garage is kind of a mess right now, so I lose stuff all over the place. That's right. How you doing? Good to see you. This might take a little while to melt down because I'm melting down these granules that I took out of copper wire, and they're they're packed in there very well. So it's pretty dense inside that crucible, so it might take a little while for that to heat up and melt down. But it'll get there eventually. We are melting copper tonight. We got a brand new bottle on the furnace tonight, so won't have any issues of running out of gas or anything. Warm now. I can hear things tinking and cracking. It's definitely getting hot. While it does that, I'm going to get my molds out, get them ready. And yes, I know I will not forget to keep my molds. In case anyone's wondering, that is graphite spray. I've been having issues with these molds as they get older. I'm having more and more issues with them releasing well. So I'm trying a little bit of graphite spray on them, hoping that will help it release better. That's right, much appreciated. Copper bars tonight, yep. Melting down all the other stuff. That's right, Recycle. Are you bouncing back and forth between the other site and TikTok, I see? Scrapping on the fly. How you doing? Good to see you in here. That's definitely getting warm because I can feel it from like 4 feet away. Yeah, I'm actually streaming on both platforms at the moment. It is the VBOR furnace, yep. And I've used this quite a few times. You can ask just about any of my followers. I use this thing, I'd say easily 2 to 3 times a month. I don't always stream when I use it, but I use it quite frequently. We are melting down some copper. So I got a bunch of granulated copper wire that we're melting down, and we're going to make some bars out of it. I got half a 5-gallon bucket worth of this, and of course this mixing bowl, pretty well full of all this copper granulated. So this is what we're melting down, all this copper. So the crucible in there, that's a 12K crucible, and it's pretty well full. So it's going to take a little bit of time for it to melt that down because it's pretty dense. But it'll get there eventually. think there's two issues with it, the reason it came out that way. One reason was I didn't realize it, but the aluminum that I used was some older alloy that I already had made. So the aluminum already had copper in it. So my copper ratio may have already been off. And then at the same time, because I put in the zinc afterwards, a lot of the zinc I think burned off, because metals can burn. I think a lot of the zinc burned off, which made it not as bright. It still turned out cool, but it turned out more like a bronze than it did Nordic. So it was a learning thing. It looks lighter on the video. It's not as bright, I'll put it that way. So like gold is a lot brighter yellow, pure gold is a lot brighter yellow, and it's not quite as bright as gold is. Cameras never do that kind of stuff good justice. Scorpion! Over on the tube, are ya? I see you over there. I can see all the little pieces starting to turn into little beads, so it's starting to melt down. That's right, Recycling. How you doing? Jumping back and forth, man. You guys like my broken picnic table out there? The boy went to move the lawnmower. They were moving with the lawnmower and he tried pushing it and the legs just buckled. A little rusty. Starting to melt down. It's got to get really hot to melt that big chunk of copper in there. It'll get there though, without a problem. You know, one thing I like about this time of year, all the bugs keep coming into the lights in the garage. But when you're running this thing, it's putting off so much heat that when they try to fly in the garage door to go after the lights, usually they don't make it past the heat wave coming off this thing. It's like shooting down planes. bug season is over with, that's for sure. I know now that it's getting cooler outside at night, I'm having a whole lot less issues, but it's where I'm at, it's supposed to warm up again here this week. So I'm going to be back to having bug issues again. The last 2 to 3 weeks, it's been really nice not having a lot of issues with that. Ken, how you doing? Good to see ya. No bugs and spiders, yeah. But as soon as you get rid of all the bugs and spiders, then you start dealing with dealing with mice and rodents start coming in. I had a bag of Cheez-Its sitting on my office desk in here in the garage. I had it, rolled up. I'm like, I'll eat some more of those tomorrow. Just a bag that I slowly snack on. I went to get into it today. The whole corner was chewed away on it. I'm like, and I looked inside, and there was mouse turds all through it. I'm like, come on. Kiki the kitten. I love it. Left you protein behind. Yeah, no thanks. That's not the protein I need. Go ahead and start heating these molds up a while. I bet she does love exploring the basement. I bet there's a bunch of stuff down there. I did get that new V-bore forge there the other day. That'll be nice for heating up molds in. a good handful. My hand got a little warm in there. I left my hand in too long. It got hot. Trick the YouTube algorithm. Spam hearts. I ain't never done that. Candyman, thank you for the gift. Much appreciated. Candyman, I will be working on more circuit boards tomorrow. So hopefully when you come up, I should have 2 trash cans and 2 totes worth of boards for you, hopefully. talk to you tomorrow about that. The cases are kind of a pain in the butt to melt down, just because they're so large. I gotta cut them up into pieces. So, I mean, you're better off just taking them right to the scrap yard. But I mean, if you don't want to take them to the scrap yard, then, you know, I'll take them. Just, I probably won't melt them down. They'll be too big and too much of a pain in the butt. There is 80 of you in here. If I can get all of you to tap that screen for like 10 seconds, that would be fantastic. There we go. Now I see them going up. Thank you guys. Much, much appreciated. Candyman, if you really don't want it, I'll take it, because if I can't melt it down, I can take the aluminum to the scrapyard. But if you want to keep it for yourself to melt down, then that's totally fine too. Forge, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Look at that. From you guys tapping that little bit, we went from 80 people to 120. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do appreciate it. It's amazing what a little bit of tapping does. Cast aluminum does melt good, because that's how it was made. It was casted, but extruded is really nice, and that's what most of the heat sinks are. So that's why I try to keep heat sinks off the circuit boards, or at least the larger ones I do. Usually they're small enough though they fit in the forge really nice, or sorry, fit in the furnace really nice. Scrap, how you doing? Woo, collected, that's a lot of heat sinks. You got 255-gallon barrels of them. Now, are those clean heat sinks? Or does it still have the little metal tabs in the ends of them? Because that's what I hate about heat sinks off circuit boards, is they got the little tabs in there, and they are a pain to rip off. Sometimes they come out easy, other times they definitely do not. %, clean, nice. I probably have a five-gallon bucket worth. Because usually whenever I clean those up, if I have a 5-gallon bucket worth, I just take it down to the scrapyard so I can get it out of my way. I try not to keep too much stuff around, because then it just turns into clutter after a while. there's more melted copper in there than I thought there was. I thought I was going to have to feed more into it, but there's quite a bit down in there. There's a lot of dirt down in there too, so yeah, I'm going to have to definitely clean it out good. Thank you guys for all the shares and all the likes. Much appreciated. Wade, we are doing copper tonight. Off for a minute. I'm going to try to clean out some of the junk. Because there's a lot of it. Once we get a lot of the junk cleaned out, we will put some borax in here and turn it back on. And that'll help bring up the rest of the impurities. And when I say impurities, I'm talking about like the trash. It's not going to separate out different metals. So like what we're melting down still had a little bit of the insulated wire in it. And that's what a lot of this is, the ash from that. I know everyone's thinking, oh, you need a bigger scooper. Eh. I like my little scooper. Alright. You grab a little bit of borax, stick that in there. Now things have cooled down a lot. Definitely got to get it heated back up. Triple OJ, how can you tell the difference in what? difference in the clean copper and the trash? Is that what you're asking? Because the impurities or the junk is like an ash, and that stuff will come up to the top and lay on top. When copper is completely melted and good and clean, it'll look shiny down inside there. When it's not shiny or it's all rough, then you know it's got impurities floating on top. Gotta heat my stir rod up because some of the copper will start to stick to it. So we'll get it good and hot, melt the copper back off of it. Borax brought a little bit more to the top, which is good. That means we're getting it cleaned up. Heck yeah, you guys got us to almost 6,000 likes. Way to go, guys. Living off scraps, how much LP gas does it take for a melt? It depends on how big of a melt you're doing. It's probably easier to say it this way. There's lots of different variables. If you're melting copper, obviously it takes more gas because you have to get to a higher temperature. If you're doing aluminum, it takes less. I can run this furnace at, I'm pretty sure I'm running it at like, yeah, I'm running it at 1 bar, which is about 15 psi. I can run this 20-pound propane tank, which is your gas grill tank. I can run that for about 3 hours, almost straight. 3 hours. little bit. Alright, let's get this thing poured. And then we'll see if we can't get some more melted down. It's hot! Hot, 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 hot. Alright, let's get some more put in here. Plenty warm. Now you got a suntan. Organized chaos. This is copper. We're melting down copper here. Alright, so let's see if my graphite spray worked. Oh, much better. So the graphite spray definitely helped them remove a lot easier. I know some of you guys have seen my other videos, and they just don't want to fall out. Whereas in this case, they came out pretty well. You need a block of ice to cool them down. I don't disagree with you. Each of these molds is a little bit different size. So roughly, they're probably about 1.5 pounds, except for this one. This one here is probably 2 pounds, but they're all probably about 1.5 pounds. They might actually be closer to 2 pounds. Rich, I make them because this is what I feed these copper bars into my copper shell. So between remelting them into other things, and also I feed them into my copper shell. The hopper boys, if you're just planning on melting them down and then taking them to the scrapyard, it's not worth it. You lower your value. Some scrapyards won't take it in melted bar form, and if they do, they give you number 2 price for it. They won't give you bare bright. Honestly, I do this more as a hobby than anything else, but I also do this to make my copper crystals. So I melt the bars down, or I melt all my copper down, and then into bar form, and then I feed the bars into the copper shell to grow my copper. To grow my copper crystals. But also, when it's in bar form like this, it works good that now I have a chunk of copper. If I want to throw it into my electric furnace, and melt it down, I can pour it into smaller molds a lot easier. It can be worth more money per pound. So if you have pretty clean copper, I'm not saying like if you have copper pipe with solder on it and you melt it all down, it's still going to be kind of dirty copper. But if you put in your clean wire and clean copper pipe and stuff like that and melt that down, and then you can clean the bars up nice and polish them and sell them on eBay for like $10 a pound. So you can increase the value of it, just not by taking it to the scrapyard. Rich, I do not smith at all. I actually did just get a forge. I got a V-bore forge that I'm going to play with. I'm going to use it to heat my molds. Frank, that's not bad. $15 a bar. Now, is that on eBay? Is that where you're doing that at? Rich, if you're looking for something to, you're actually looking for a forge more than a furnace. This is a furnace, but I will say this. This comes in 2 different sizes. It comes in the small one, which I think is an 8K, and then this is the 12K. The 12K, as you can see here, it has this mount, or this spot, and this spot. Now these are mainly handles. It has one on each side. But then since it has this, you can lay this unit on its side, leave the lid off, and stick the long piece of heat brick or fire brick, lays in there, and so the 12K doubles as a furnace and a forge. So you can do it either way, depending if you want. Now, if you want to just buy a forge, just a regular forge, V-bore also has that. It's in my showcase also. But this doubles as both. You can use this as a forge, lay it on its side, or you can use it as a furnace like I am right now. So you can do it both ways. So that's why I say this is a really good product. Greg Phillips, click down below. sorry, it's a 6K and a 12K. The 12K is $200. 206. The 6K is not, you cannot use as a furnace. A forge, sorry, you cannot use it as a forge. Whereas the 12K you can. I am melting copper right now, Cody. Thank you, that's right. Much appreciated for your help. Yeah, we're melting copper right now. That's what we got, copper bars down there. Actually, I'll take one of these over to the sink and I'll cool it down and I'll hit it with the wire wheel. Clean it up a little bit. So this one still had a little bit of junk in the top of it. So if you can see, it's got some holes in it, and that's probably because it still had a little bit of impurities in it. So I probably should have put a little bit more borax and gave it another scrape. But like I said, the stuff I was putting in there had a lot of granules in it. So it, they're not granules. It had a lot of junk in it when I was melting it. So there was a lot of stuff to clean out. So I don't know if you guys can really see it, but if you look down in there, there's still some. See the insulation down in there? There's still little bits of insulation. So that's what a lot of the debris and stuff was I was scraping out. But so yeah, so I'll feed that bar right into the copper cell. So if there was any other impurities in it, the copper cell will clean all that out and leave me with pure copper. Looks like we can throw some more in there. Warm. love when it glows that color. Brass baby shoes, nice. This is something else I like doing. I like to turn the lights off sometimes. Watch that pretty green and blue flame. I forgot I got the dusted dawn light out there still. Rich, we are pouring copper, yep. You got brass baby shoes from the scrapyard? Nice. Can't wait to collect enough to melt. Nice. That's right. That's the best way to do it when it comes to any type of scrap. You can collect it and resell it. That's the best way to do it. User, I'm using propane. Propane. I'm just running this off a 20-pound propane tank. Your gas grill tank is all I'm using. Yeah, especially when prices are low. That's like right now, you guys should be trying to hit up on your silver. They're expecting in the next couple of years silver to take a skyrocket, so start saving up your silver if you can get it. Like, obviously don't pay too much for it, but that's pretty good. 100 pounds, that's a pretty penny. Rich, I am using nothing for air induction. This setup, you do not need air induction. It just draws it in with the propane. As the propane shoots in, it draws in air with it. So you don't need air induction with this setup. Now I have heard if you have a setup and you put air induction into it with a blower, it'll make it hotter faster, but this setup, you don't need that. It works without it. Bought the same furnace last week, it's not even out of the box yet. Man, that would drive me nuts. I wouldn't be able to let it in the box that long. Rich, I'm in Pennsylvania. OTD in the house. I don't think you can use methane. I've never heard of that. I mean, maybe you can, but I've never heard of that. This is set up to use a propane bottle. Cody, you missed a good chance for a good joke. You say you work, you lay water lines. You could have been like, man, I lay pipe all day long. There is 273 people in here. If I can get you guys, everyone to tap that screen for 10 seconds, it'd be very helpful, much appreciated. OTD, yeah, you can use natural gas, but not in this furnace. You need a different setup. Cody, with this, I'm using the 12K furnace, and with melting copper running at 15 psi, I can get almost 3 hours out of a full tank. It's full of natural gas. That's pretty good. OTD, thank you for the heart, much appreciated. That's not too bad. If the neighbor's bringing you free scrap, that's a pretty good deal. Oh, natural gas does burn colder than propane. That's something I didn't know. These particular molds, I got these off of a place I'm not allowed to say. The A place. All of them are still hot except for this one. So you can see the impurities in the top, or the holes. That's because there was still some dirt and stuff. There it is. OTD got it. Thank you. So it came out a pretty good bar. I didn't clean the bottom yet, but it came out pretty nice. Other than, like I said, it's got a few minor holes in it. I should clean up this other one while this keeps melting. Let me give this a quick stir. Down, I'm going to polish it up real quick. also, like I said, still have some impurities in the top of them. Still got some little holes in the top of it. But still not bad. It's still pretty, it's still shiny. So now, if I really wanted to get it really, really clean, I need to scrape out the junk, put some borax in there, scrape it, and probably do it again. Because there's a lot of dirt down in this. That's a hot rod. Alright. Let's heat up our stick to try to clean it out with. Nearly as dirty as the other one, so let's get a little borax in there. Get it in there. Borax will help separate all the impurities and stuff. Rich, everyone misses scrap prices being high. Everyone. Especially the ones that like to buy special things with scrap. I really don't keep track of scrap prices hardly anymore. When I get some in, I just haul it. I don't really mess around. I just take it. Rich, there's definitely gold in the PC parts. If you have a way of getting a good supply of PC stuff, then yeah, there's definitely plenty of gold in there. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get 10 computers and go, recover the gold off and go, oh man, it only came out to this little bit, because it is not very much. But it is a lot of work to get a good amount of gold out of it. Alright, let's put our molds back up here. Even though they should still be plenty hot, I'd rather not take a chance and go ahead and reheat them again. Never hurts to make sure your molds are good and hot. And before we pour, we'll do another scrape off the top. This will probably be our last pour for tonight. I got the worst of it. Let's go ahead and pour this thing. Warm. Very warm. Almost overfilled that one. Well, tell you what, there's still a little bit left down in there, so let's go for one more. I got a little bit left in this bowl here. I might as well just do the rest of this. sitting down here by them. You can feel the heat radiating off that stuff. Plenty warm. I wasn't even paying attention. You guys got me over 15,000 likes already. Heck yeah, thank you guys very, very much. Much appreciated. We are on our last pour for tonight. Now we probably won't get we probably won't get 6 bars out of this next pour. We'll probably get 3, maybe 4. That's right, you've been tapping, haven't you? That's right, you've been tapping that screen. Grass guy, why melt metal though? What's it for? So, I am melting copper, and this is so that I can feed it into my copper cell. So I melt the copper down into bars, and I feed the bars into my copper cell, and then I grow these copper crystals in the copper cell. And what this copper cell does, it purifies the copper. So this is 4-9 fine, pure copper. You won't find purer copper anywhere else. And then I will sell the copper crystals either at local shows or just other places, or even sometimes I sell them here on TikTok. Other times I'll remelt the copper down and make other things out of it. So like right now I've been working on trying to make some really nice Norte gold. So I might take one of these bars and use that towards that. But here it is, instead of it being in a bunch of granulated wire form, now it's more compact for me to do with it whatever I want to. I guess you could make those. I don't know if that actually works or not. I've heard people say, oh, copper is healing like that, but I don't know. Maybe that's why my back hurts so much, because I haven't played with any copper here in a little while. I've been doing other things. Helps with her inflammation. Well, it's very possible. I've never, I don't know. I'm not a doctor or really a scientist, so I don't really know. Grass guy, it is gray because that's the scale that built up on it. So this is what it looks like when it comes out of the furnace. After I hit it with the wire wheel, then this is what it looks like. So that's the other reason they're gray. So like this one here. You can see some of the scale is falling off. And you can see the copper underneath it. But the gray or the black, that's just from the melting process. I do cast in the molds. You can see the molds laying right there. Rich, the wives are right, but they may also be witches. Yes. Yeah, great guy, gas guy. I really enjoy doing this. This is, yes, can you make a few bucks at it? Yes, you can. But realistically, I started getting into this because I've always been with scrap metal stuff, and I just enjoy melting metal. So it's more of a hobby for me first than it is anything else. They are graphite molds, yep. Shane, thank you for adding the product to your showcase, much appreciated. Or to your cart, much appreciated. So yeah, I use graphite molds. Men like fire, exactly. Almost 20,000 likes. Heck yeah, guys. Keep up the good work. Much appreciated. That's a great question. It's hard to answer that specifically because it all depends on what you're melting, the size of your furnace. If I'm melting aluminum, I could have a whole crucible full of aluminum and ready to pour in like 15 minutes. And you don't use very much propane. Now, I'm doing copper. It takes a whole lot more heat to melt down copper. So to do that, it takes longer. And if you want a full crucible, now this is a 12K crucible, I can fit like 20 pounds of copper in there. So it takes a little while to fill that completely up. The 6K crucible, which is the other model that they have, you may be able to pour faster with it because it's smaller. You're not melting as much metal. But like I said, it just really depends. Aluminum, you don't have to run the regulator nearly as high a pressure. I run it at 15 psi for copper. If I'm doing aluminum, I run it down at like 10, so you're using less propane. So it really just varies. But I will say this, when I'm melting copper at 15 psi, I can run this 12K furnace, 12K furnace for almost 3 hours with no issues on a 20-pound propane tank. Now I will say, when your tank starts to get low on fuel, on propane, you gotta like start playing with it. Some guys put their propane tank in like a big tote of water. This is copper, yep. Put it in a big tote of water to keep your tank from freezing. I kind of just keep an eye on it, and then I'll start flopping the tank on its side. I'll rotate it from one side to the other to keep it from freezing as much. I do not have spare copper. I would never say I have spare copper. I mean, maybe. I would not. Here's my experience with catalytic converters. Do not mess with them. To recover the precious metals out of catalytic converters is a very, very toxic thing to do. Don't mess with it. You will get more money out of your catalytic converter from selling it to a reputable buyer than what you will trying to extract stuff. Rich, what about water heater? I don't know about natural gas. This setup has a fitting on it that is designed to hook right to a propane bottle. So I honestly, I couldn't tell you. There you go. You could use natural gas at your own risk, but this setup from Vibor is designed to hook to a 20 pound propane tank. Anthony, I've never used this version as a forge, but it can be used for that. That's why it's got this leg and this leg, so you can set this one inside and leave the lid off. I mean, I guess you could leave it with the lid on, but it's designed that you can take this fire brick and lay in there on the bottom and lay stuff in there and use it as a forge. So this model can be used for a forge, and it can be used as a melting furnace. So that rod is that's a graphite stir rod. I use that to stir the metal to help bring all the junk to the top so I can scrape it off. Tricky Rick added it to your cart. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. J Dubs, how you doing? Yes, I have a very nice rod. Just don't tell her it's a hot rod. We are doing copper tonight. So we got copper in there. Should be getting pretty close to cleaning out all the junk to be able to pour here shortly. Oh yeah. Looking pretty good. There's not too much junk in there, so we're going to go ahead and put some borax in there. And we should only have to scrape it off one time. And these molds are still plenty hot, so I shouldn't have to reheat them. Come on, lid. It is a lot easier to buy scrap aluminum. Aluminum is not worth nearly as much as copper and brass. Outlaw, I rarely sell my bars because normally my bars go into my copper cell. So rarely do I sell copper bars. Now I should say, rarely. I do from time to time, but not very often do I sell my copper bars. Usually the copper bars that I sell are specific copper bars, like, here, I'll grab them back here. So like this 1 pound bar. Now this came out of a special mold, so I'll sell these ones. But ones like these that I'm making down here, these will go into my copper cell. Copper and brass come easy when you do demolition. Yes, it does. I don't make any D&D dice. No. I've heard that's a pretty good thing to do. I don't do it. I'd like to eventually get into sand casting and make some cool stuff like that. I'm just not there yet. That's all. All right. We will heat up our rod to take out the impurities. Once we do that, we scrape the stuff off the top, then we will pour. And this will be the last pour for tonight. Pretty good. Let's get this pour done. Like I said, there's not as much in here as in the prior pours. That's it. Basically 2.5 bars is all we got out of that. Now that thing will easily stay hot for another 3 hours while it cools down. Jamie, you are right. The borax, that is a flux. Yep, to bring all the impurities to the top. That's right, Recycling. Thank you very much, and thank you for hanging out the whole time. I know you've been very helpful with answering questions when I'm doing stuff. That is very, very appreciated. Alright, since this is the last pour, I'm going to go see if I can't grab a little bucket or something of water real quick and cool some of these down. Because I know that's what everyone wants. They want to hear that sizzle and crackling. Oops. See, these ones are still hot. Oh yeah. Not nearly as hot, they're still hot. I bet that water's all but boiling now. Anyone want to make some eggs? Right. Yeah. All right. There we go. So we got some pretty good copper bars made. It was a pretty good night. Yeah, eggs. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 12 and a half bars. I'll weigh this bar real quick, so I'm not exactly sure how much they weigh. Alright, so each of these bars weigh roughly 1 pound and 3 ounces. Now that one right there, that one is larger. It's probably 2 pounds, but most of these are about a little over 1 pound. So roughly we probably poured real close to about 15 pounds here tonight. And just for anyone wondering, so we poured 15 pounds of copper. I started the furnaces at, I think it was about 8:30, 9, something like that. I'm about halfway through a tank of propane, and roughly ran it for about 1.5 hours, roughly. So that's right on track, because I was saying that I'd go through a 20-pound tank in about 3 hours. So about 1.5 hours of running, and we're at about half tank. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, I think these came out pretty good. Like I said, they still got some holes in the top of them from some of the impurities, but that's kind of normal unless you have super, super, super clean copper. Now, I probably could have put more borax in and stirred it some more and got it cleaner before I poured it. But overall, I'm still happy with these. They are clean enough because, like I said, I will now put these bars into my copper cell and grow copper crystals out of them. So I'm pretty happy with these bars. They came out nice. Now I have more copper. We're gonna melt more another night, just not tonight. Tomorrow night we are gonna depopulate some circuit boards, so make sure you guys come around for that. Because I gotta finish getting them depopulated so that way Candyman can get them out of here and out of my way. And look at that water steaming. It's getting hot. Where's my temp going? Just for curiosity, the water is 157 is what the water is. The molds have cooled down. That one's not. That one's 900 degrees, 400 degrees. See what it is. It's still glowing down inside here. We're at 1600 degrees. Still down inside the crucible. Very bottom of the crucible is 16. 1676. Good and hot. So, yeah. That bar there is still 150 degrees. 150. 150. Heck, that concrete that they were sitting on, that bar that they were sitting on is 170 degrees. Almost 300. So yeah, things get pretty hot. So that's why make sure you're wearing your gloves, guys. Hot dogs on stick time? Yeah, it's putting off radiant heat. That'd be all right. I wouldn't want to do it while the copper's in there burning. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you all. Almost 24,000 likes. Much appreciated. I know you guys have been tapping that screen hard, wearing that screen out, wearing your fingers out. But it is very much appreciated. I will definitely be going live tomorrow. I might be doing it earlier in the day, not so much late at night. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. No copper dust for your dogs? Yeah, it's extra seasoning. Makes it a little bit more spicy. So thank you everybody for hanging out. That's right, Recycling. Thank you so much. You were a big help for hanging out and doing stuff tonight. So we will catch you guys hopefully tomorrow. See you then, guys. Be safe.